kindly returning to the Rich Eisen Show so quickly. We had him on about a week before the season began, and now he's joining us in advance of the Monday Night Football game between the Falcons and Philadelphia Eagles that you'll be hearing on Westwood One. Kirk Cousins, good to see you again, Kirk.
Good to see you, Rich. Yeah, I know this looks like a green screen behind me, but that's the actual wall, believe it or not. So,
wow.
Nice wall.
I was about to say, like, you know, the Arthur Blank green screen system was going. That's legitimately the wall behind you?
Honestly, Rich, I can see myself on a screen here, and I thought, is that a green screen? And I turned around. Nope, that's the wall. Okay, here we go.
And the okie doke on you thought for a second. But anyway, thanks for joining. Greatly appreciate you doing that. What's your sense of your week one performance and result, Kirk?
Disappointing. It's just wasn't clean enough, wasn't crisp enough, and we paid for it. The results, kind of showed. If you go watch the tape, that it just wasn't good enough. And so we've got to pick up the pieces, as you have to do in the NFL. You're going to get it handed to you from time to time, or you're going to have a game where you say that wasn't up to our standard, and you have to figure it out quickly, get it fixed. And then another great opponent is showing up the next weekend. And that's kind of where we find ourselves.
You saw a heck of a lot of number 90, man. On Sunday in TJ Watt. What is it like when you're under center or in shotgun and you see him out of your peripheral? What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, he's a special player. His career has kind of told that story. Great effort and a smart player. He did a good job kind of trying to time up the snap count. He's got a good rush plan. He plays hard in the run game too. It's not just the pass game. And, every team is really looking for a player like that on their D-line. And if they don't have one, they're usually drafting one in the first round or signing one in free agency, because every team knows the difference that those guys make. And he certainly impacted the game. And, and as we face other guys kind of like him in that mold, we've got to kind of all hands on deck, to make sure we handle it.
Well, how are week ones different now compared to when you first hopped in the league, Kirk? Because it just seems like there's not a lot of preseason action or training camp action or practice action to get out there, and then there's somebody like yourself who's coming back from an Achilles injury and wanted to make sure that you would be ready and healthy. Is there sort of a preseason feel to a week one in the NFL right now, would you say, Kirk?
Hard to say. I think we started sharp, if you will. We moved the football. We converted our first third down. We had a 12-play drive, I think it was, to start the season. Ended up kicking a field goal, but executed pretty well. It was more just over 4 quarters. Did not play, great football. And the reality is in football, you have to string together, 5, 10, 12 plays in a row that are flawless to score points on a long drive. And if you have a penalty, if you have a mistake, it can kill the entire drive. And so that efficiency of stringing, 10 plays together is, I think, one thing that was a weakness of ours on Sunday that we've got to clean up moving forward.
So what about you? Do you think, were you rusty because you hadn't played a snap since your Achilles last year, Kirk?
I asked that question myself, but then when I watched the tape, I thought, I don't know that it's rust. I think there's a level of there's certainly a lot that's new, for all of us, where we're all kind of working together for the first time. But again, we started relatively sharp. We moved down the last drive of the half. Basically went into a 2-minute mode and went right down the field and scored a touchdown. So there were some parts where you say, no, I mean we're playing well, moving the football well, seeing things well, feeling the rush well. But we played a strong defense, and then we just didn't execute up to our standard, which involves so many things, timing up motions and formations and play clock and, just the subtleties of the operation of football that we're going to have to be much sharper at, the rest of the season.
How did you feel physically coming out of the game?
I felt good. Honestly, felt good during the game. Was really pleased with how, my ankle, if you will, not just Achilles, but my ankle felt. Really felt good, and didn't take any big hits. So after week one, your typical soreness from a game, but nothing too excessive.
What was Raheem Morris's message to the team, if you wouldn't mind sharing anything? What did he say?
Well, I think the main message would be when you turn the ball over 3 times, you don't deserve to win. So to come out of here thinking, because we had a chance to tie the game on the final possession of regulation, and yet, it was kind of amazing that we had that chance because of how he had played. And so he made the point that the fact that we were even able to tie the game on the last possession says a lot about, what we can do in this room, because we pretty much didn't give ourselves much of a chance the rest of the game. So, and then the ultimate reminder of there are 16 more football games, and they all are their own entity. And when we're sitting here in February looking back on the season, week 1 doesn't tend to define the whole year. It tends to be the next 16 that do that. So we've just got to keep taking a one day at a time, 1 week at a time approach, and stack up strong performances that are much, much better than what Sunday's was.
Yeah, that sounds too nuanced and reasonable for many of us, Kirk, to be honest with
probably
you.
Not helping you, yeah.
Honestly, I thought your season's over, quite frankly. That's all I've heard for the last 48 hours.
I think that's kind of the way the NFL works, but it's part of what makes it so fun for people. And I think it's important that for us as players and coaches and staff and in the building that we certainly have a different approach, and you kind of ignore the noise, but it doesn't change the fact that when you don't play well, there's going to be noise.
Sure. Kirk Cousins here on the Rich Eisen Show. Did you watch the Brazil game, sort of scout, if you will, knowing that this is your next opponent, even though you had yet to play your first opponent? Did you check that out, Kirk?
Yeah, I watched some of it live. I didn't stay up. It's interesting, Rich. I was on Central Time for 6 years, and so I was usually able to watch a lot of football and even other sports that come on later. But now that I'm on Eastern Time, my bedtime is really being hampered here by these late starts. So didn't watch as much of it as I would have liked, but I was able to watch the tape, obviously, coming into this week, getting ready for the Eagles. And it was unique seeing them play on another continent.
Yeah, so what leaped out at you looking at that?
Yeah, well, first of all, the surface was it looked like a couple guys slipped here and there. I think there were also some week 1 type struggles on both sides where you say, hey, I don't think both teams were as sharp as they want to be either. And you expect it to be, as the weeks go, probably a much tighter operation, certainly for us as the Falcons, but you kind of think your opponents as well, you're going to kind of get their best as we move forward too. So, but good to finally have tape. There's a little bit of that unknown in week 1 of unscouted looks and, what does a team look like? And you don't quite know until you get out there and have your first series. So at least now we'll have some tape to watch.
Right. Number 98 flash a couple times for you.
Oh yeah. No, he's the real deal. He was last year when we played him. We played him week 2.
Yep.
He had only played 1 career NFL game. And coming out of that 1 career NFL game, we could tell from the tape that this is a guy that we have to be aware of, and he can wreck the game if we give him that chance. And so he's gonna be a great player in this league.
Yeah, Jalen Carter is who you're referring to, and again, it's kind of crazy that I guess you have to. I mean, have you called the NFL to say you are mandated to be the visiting quarterback of Philadelphia's Monday night week 2 game? Like, I mean, what gives here, man?
There's something going on there because I have played in Philadelphia so many times in my career. Going back to when I was in Washington, we played there every year.
Sure.
And did play in a couple primetime games there in Washington. Then Minnesota did it as well. Now this is year 3 in a row of going there for a primetime game in week 2. Who knows? Let's see how we do. And then let's see if we can make it a 4th year in a row. We'll see.
Well, I mean, and this is kind of big, obviously, because you can just wipe the slate clean and go 1-1 against Pennsylvania teams in your first 2 weeks, and then move forward because you got the Chiefs coming in after that. I mean,
I think it's a little bit of like welcome to the NFL. You kind of can look around at the schedules and you just see good teams playing good football teams, and that's the way this league is. And it's what makes this league great. That there aren't a lot of games. I don't think there are any games that you really walk in and say, okay, we can kind of be at 85% and we'll come away with a win. I feel, and I've always felt in this league that, man, if I miss one read, if I miss one decision, we're going to lose. And, I didn't feel that in college. I mean, there were games, certainly when you play Michigan, when you play Wisconsin, when you play Ohio State, you had those feelings. But there's a lot of other games where you say, I can miss a few reads and we're still going to win the game. In the NFL, it just doesn't exist. And it certainly raises the level of awareness and the focus, but also the tension. And I think it's fun for fans to follow as a result. But you can go to any game and you feel that way.
Kirk Cousins here on the Rich Eisen Show. Couple minutes left with the Falcons quarterback in advance of Monday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. Did at any point in time you peek in on what your former team did with Sam Darnold and the Vikings? Did you see?
Yeah, I saw they won. We have NFL Network in the locker room.
Good choice.
With the screens on, so you kind of get updated on what's going on around the league just as you walk in from your lift and walk onto your meeting and that kind of a thing. So there's so many people, as you go through the league, as you move teams, I even saying hi to like the special teams coach for the Steelers, who was my special teams coach my rookie year in Washington 12 years ago. You just have so many people around the league that you see pregame, postgame, as you follow that you're pulling for, that you care about, and so that's kind of a big part for all of us in the league. People always ask, what teams do you root for? And we tend to say, well, I don't root for teams as much as I root for people or players, because you get to know people on a personal level.
So before I let you go, speaking of people that I root for, I'm rooting for your cousin right now, Kirk. I'm a Yankee fan.
I was going to say, are you a Yankee fan? Okay.
I am a diehard Yankee fan. And
I love it.
Not many things like the Yankees and Michigan football are the only things in my advanced age of mid-50s that emotionally affect me sports-wise anymore. Your cousin, Jake Cousins, is dynamite, man. I think he should be the closer of the Yankees. I think he should be. I'm serious.
I would love to make you the owner, GM, president to make that happen. That'd be a lot of fun. Stressful to watch, but a lot of fun. Yeah, we got to go to a game this summer, and he wasn't able to pitch in the game that we went to, but it was fun to go to Yankee Stadium and kind of be a part of what he's doing. And we watch just about every appearance he has at night. We try to, have an app that can notify us when he goes in, and we turn it on the MLB app. And I grew up not liking the Yankees. I kind of was an anti-Yankee guy. And I've completely flipped. My wife has now bought me multiple Yankees apparel.
Nice.
I pretty much watch every game now. Our head equipment manager, Joey, here in Atlanta, is a big Yankees fan, so we go back and forth about it. He keeps me updated on all the buzz, and I'm praying that he can have a big October and make quite a run, and it's been fun to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, man, people cannot hit his slider, and it's coming. Like, everybody knows it's coming, and he's a great swing and miss pitcher right now. And
well, he reminds me of another closer who had a good run in New York who had one pitch. And so I've often said, hey, went for him for about 20 plus years once. Maybe they could do it again. But no, he's been fun. He was a 20th round pick, played in the Ivy League. Didn't think it was trending that way during the COVID shutdown. He was playing independent baseball. I remember watching him on a stream of independent baseball playing in Chicago in the summer of 2020. And next thing you know, a year later, he was in the bigs and was pitching well, and has kind of been up and down, but has found a home here in New York this summer, and we're hoping it can last for a long time.
So you were a Tigers guy? Is that what it was, or what?
You know what? I grew up originally in Chicago before moving to Michigan. So I'm a Cubs guy, diehard. Grew up going to Wrigley, and looking back, that's probably, of all the pro sports teams, that's probably the pro sports team I have the greatest emotion following is the Chicago Cubs. But now that's kind of had to take a back seat for my cousin as long as he's with the Yankees.
Hey, man, this past weekend your cousin was hanging zeros in Wrigley. That's pretty cool. I saw that.
Yeah, and a dream for him, because he grew up in Chicago also. And so for him to pitch for there in Wrigley was real special. And I just really feel blessed that he's been able to do what he's done.
Kirk, thanks for the time. I know,
Absolutely.
15 minutes in the middle of a week, certainly off of a loss. A lot of guys don't like talking after that, and I really appreciate it. Don't take it for granted, certainly since we just talked a couple of weeks ago. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely, Rich. Great to catch up, and hopefully we can get a win Monday night.
Okay, we'll see you soon. That's Kirk Cousins in advance of the Monday night football game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.